Just a quick heads up that this video contains flashing images and some adult humour. Well, I say humour in inverted commas. Enter at your own risk. Cheers. Hello my happy little minicons. I'm the sentient biomechanical pork rind known as... This is my first longer form Transformers video, so I wanted to show you one of my favourite Transformer weirdos, Skullgrin. Hello, editing me here. When I originally started making this video, I'd found maybe 4 or 5 alternate fan modes for Skullgrin, but since then I've found a lot more, and I've put them all at the end, and I'll do a separate video where I show you how to transform those fan modes. Anyway, back on script. Bye. And if you stay to the end, there's a wee surprise or two. Just for you. Yes, you. But first, this video is sponsored by Tallycat. She may be small and timid now, and sometimes even frightened of her own tail, but with your likes and subs, she will grow and thrive and eventually consume us all. Do not deny her hunger. Give generously for Tallycat. Back in the day when I was a tiny wee minicon, one of the weirdest gimmicks in Transformers was the Pretenders. I remember seeing them for the first time in the UK comic in an advert for the VHS release of The Return of Optimus Prime. The Pretenders and Power Masters were on the cover, and I thought they looked super cool. And I instantly wanted to know more about these weird Transformers who had organic looking outer armour. There were loads of different types of Pretenders, and I'll maybe go into them another time, but for now I want to focus on Skullgrin, so stop distracting me with nostalgia. I was especially excited about the Decepticon Pretenders because they turned into weird gonzo monsters, and I was that kid that liked the gonzo monsters. The Autobot Pretenders, in comparison, all looked like my dad or my uncles, and I think we can all agree that something like Skullgrin or Bombburst looks a lot cooler and more interesting than my Uncle Colin in a crap spacesuit. No shade to Uncle Colin there. My favourite though was Skullgrin, and I was convinced he was some kind of satanic goat lord transformer. Like most normal children in the 80s, I went through a phase where I was low-key obsessed with sheep and goat skulls because I would find them up on the moors or washed up on the beach all the time. Oh man, it was certainly a very different time to say the least, especially in northeast England. Okay, so I now know that Skullgrin is not meant to have a goat skull, but he'll always be the goat to me. I never had any Pretenders back then. We were more of a GoBots family, if you know what I mean. And even then, GoBots were something for birthdays and Transformers were only for Christmas. In fact, most of my Transformers, inverted commas, were stand-in knockoffs from the supermarket, and they had names like Transformators or Mutated Bots. Real names. And I would then recolour them with felt tips to try and get them to look more like my favourite characters from the TV show. Transformers and GoBots TV shows, I mean, not Mutated Bots TV show. Or the very local and very short-lived attempt at a competitor to Transformers called the Fagiforce and Stottybots. But my folks could eventually rent The Return of Optimus Prime for me from the video shop, which was a cool little independent place around the corner. And just to give you a sign of the times, it was 50 pence to rent the video for 7 days. I think I rented the Transformers videos so frequently that they just ended up letting me have them. So I thought I would at least get to see the Pretenders and the Power Masters in action through the cartoon, even if I didn't have any. Well, imagine my disappointment when there were no Pretenders or Power Masters in the actual cartoon. Eventually, I was able to overcome this bitter childhood betrayal, and many of your Earth years later, I actually got some Pretenders from G1, including our boy Skullgrin. And they were nearly as disappointing as The Return of Optimus Prime, but also I kinda loved them because they were rad at the same time. Such is the mighty power of a child's imagination. I had hoped that the shells would be softer and more organic and gross feeling so that I could sloop the robot in and out. But no, we got these fairly static, plaggy shells. I still love them though because they're so weird. They might have been crap by modern toy standards, but to a kid, or an adult with the imagination of a child, these things are a buttload of fun. So you can imagine how excited I was when, in the far distant future of 2025, I started collecting again and saw that there was a new version of Skullgrin that combined the best bits of his shell, which is like the goat-headed non-goat head, with the best bits of his robot and the bits of his out mode, but with modern articulation. I was so excited that Mrs. Former found me frantically trying to shove coins into the USB ports of my computer in a desperate attempt to make Skullgrin teleport through the screen and onto my desk. Anywho, let's crack on and have a wee peep at Legacy Evolution? Devolution, United, Unfluted? I forget which it is, so I'm just going to call him Legacy Skullgrin. Let's have a look at Skullgrin. Actually, if he did have a goat head, Skullgrin would be Legacy Ungulated. Yeah? Yeah? No? It's probably one for all the biology nerds. In fact, if you did laugh at that, you have a terrible sense of humour like me, and you are definitely a biology nerd. Modern Transformer packaging can be a bit crap, if I'm being honest. Which I am, all the time. You're welcome. The Legacy boxes are no exception really, that's for sure. But at least they try, and they are a damn sight better, or they were, than the bland Age of the Primes boxes. Anyway, I unboxed Skullgrin years ago and threw away the packaging, so here's what he looked like in the box, if that interests you at all. But none of us are here for the boxes though, are we, Keith? So let's jog on to the good stuff. Look at this bad lad! I love how gonzo this fella is. He looks like he stole his head from a He-Man baddie. He looks like you summoned him from within a circle of salt. He looks like the main set piece from a mid-2000s Cradle of Filth video, but with less boobs. If any of the Transformers were to turn up in something like Urotsuka Doji, it would be old Skull Grunnington here. Let's not think about that last one too much. As well as having this excellent Ghostbusters Terror Dog meets Apocalypse Donkey style head, Skullator Grin here comes with his tank cannons and his blades, which not only have holes in the end indicating that they are also guns, talk about an innovative synergy, you can stab and slash while you pew pew pew, but via these 5mm pegs and the power of imagination, they also become Skullgrin Lock's alt mode wings. Hey, no, stop laughing. They are his wings, he says they're his wings, he's doing the best he can with what he's got. It's not his fault he looks the way he does, and it's not your fault you look the way you do. So yeah, you think about that before you start mocking someone's stubby little alt mode wings. So okay, you might have to use a bit more imagination than usual, but that's the fun thing of being an adult that plays with bendy plaggy robots. You can do what you like. I love all the little details on here that bring together the design of the original robot and shell with the modern G1ified Legacy Age of the Primes chug aesthetic. If you'd given me this Skullgrin in 1980-12, or whenever it was that I was a child, I would have been so excited I'd have simultaneously vomited, cried, and then laughed hysterically while running around the living room so fast I might have accidentally altered the rotation of the planet. Who's to say that that's not what happened? I would have done that as an adult too when I got the Legacy Skullgrin, but I had it delivered to work and we have health and safety standards. Also, I was working with a super miserable boss at the time, and any form of joy and fun had been outlawed in the lab. But when I got home though, well, let's just say it's a good job that Mrs. Former is very patient and very understanding. Look, I'm not going to go through each joint individually. There's other channels if you're into that kind of thing. Not that I'm judging, but Tallycat is. She watches you from the darkest recesses of your room. From the space beyond and in between the spaces, Tallycat watches. She learns. She judges. She will annihilate us all. Unless you like and subscribe. Yeah, so anyway, back to Skullgrin. He's got your standard level of present day deluxe articulation, so you can get him into most of the usual poses we all force our little plastic bot buddies to do. Here are a few examples to view with your moist eyeballs. I especially like that he has the fancy wrists, so you can put him into these nice sword-wielding poses. That means he has no wrist swivel, but that's a compromise I'm willing to live with, mainly because I can make him look like a death metal singer pointing at the audience at Vakken. As usual, the modern deluxe says, there are some limitations, like the aforementioned wrist swivels, and the fact he can't look down on account of his glorious gonzo face bouncing off his chest. So he's buggered if he drops his contacts, isn't he? His back cannons can be a bit fiddly too, but if they annoy you, you can just remove them from his back and you can hold them on his arms or in his hands, or you can lose them beneath the sideboard or behind the back of the sofa, along with all of your other lost accessories. Overall, his posability means he's a neat little bot and very fiddleable. Fiddleable. He often spends time on my desk getting fiddled with. Just like your mum. Like the lament configuration, transforming wee Skullabite here is a bit of a faff. And the thing you get out the other end is weird and uncomfortable. But being weird and uncomfortable shouldn't be too strange a sensation for the likes of us now, eh? Adults that play with toys. And just like a visit from the Cenobites, it's kind of a fun transformation, just not in the way you were expecting. There's some surprising tricks, and I like the way he unfolds and extendulates out, which is exactly what Pinhead and his colleagues would do to you. But some of his parts are a bit bendy and cheap feeling, not in an own brand supermarket transforming robot kind of way, but not like a nice solid transformer, if you know what I mean. But that's a small complaint when you consider the glory of his gonzo robot mode. Hang on, something's missing here. Where's this bit gone here? Oh, what's that bloody noise? Ah, quick, I might have known it was you. Do you think you're being clever messing around with other people's stuff? You're going to get your tailpipe smashed in twice at this rate. Now give me that piece back and then bugger off. Anyway, when you finish, you end up with an alt mode that looks like, well, like this thing here, really, yeah, I guess. Look, I'm not judging, okay? It was the 80s, the main gimmick of the Pretenders was the shells, and so the robots and their alt modes were, you know, a bit compromised. Not exactly what you would call realistic vehicles, or even recognisable vehicles at all in some cases. And this is certainly one of those cases. Even though he's not from the 80s, he's modern, so there's not really any excuses for it. Gwyneth Paltrow's alt mode is certainly an alternative to something. I'm just not sure what. I think it's supposed to be some sort of flying hover space tank sled. Or maybe it's a techno slab of doom. Again, this is where you can exercise your power of imagination. Go on, you can do it. I believe in you. The original G1 Pretender alt mode was at least some kind of vehicle, but Legacy Skullgrin doesn't even manage that. I like to call this mode the Terror Sled. It's stupid and I love it, and it also kind of reminds me of the kind of stupid vehicles you used to get in He-Man as well. You know how sometimes you'll look at a toy or something and think, who was this designed for? Who asked for this? Who wants this? Well, Skullgrin is mine. It was made for me. Me. He almost looks like something that should be towed by someone else. Maybe Legacy Iguanus can tow him while Legacy Bombburst uses him as a landing pad. That all said, I am not complaining. The weirdness of his alt mode is something that makes Skullgrip here all the more endearing to me. If nothing else, the alt mode certainly has the retro-futuristic dark alien vibe that kind of reminds me of 40k back in the Rogue Trader days. Because I too am an ancient withered husk, like the carrion god upon his golden throne of lies. I wonder if Horus Heresy has collected his 40,000 Warhammers yet. Us fans are an enterprising lot with buckets of ingenuity, so it's unsurprising that some of our fellow trans Twizzlers have figured out alt modes for their favourite bots. And their non-favourite bots as well. And that includes Scumgrip. The most well-known is probably this Basilisk tank mode, which is named after the Transformers World 2005 user who devised it. The Basilisk tank alt mode is pretty cool, I like it, but like most elder millennials, I have an emptiness that can never be completely filled, and I wanted more. So I had to go at making my own alt modes, and as promised, here they are, in all of their terrible glory. And like Shockwave, it is most terribly creative. An apology would be illogical. The first one I came up with is this weapons platform mode I call the anti-aerial bot gun. He can be left as an autonomous sentry gun type armament, or crewed by one or more other bots if Skullgrin's feeling sociable, of course. Like Runamuck here, look at his happy little face, having such a nice time shooting down Autobots and using it to distract from the fact that he misses his brother so much. But I had the feeling there was more I could do with Scully Grimbles here. I could feel his raw potential pulsing like a great big pulsing thing. So, in an afternoon of frantic, feverish fiddling, I came up with what I call the Warbeast mode, or the Scullyphant if you will. And even if you won't. This is probably my favourite fan mode I've made for him. I'm using some high-powered, pure premium grade imagination here to see his blades as ears, his guns as tusks, his tail as a little nose trunk thing, and his tracks as sensor arrays? Yeah, that's it. Sensor arrays. Let's go with that. I meant to do that all along. Yeah, genius. I feel like with a little bit of 3D printing or retooling and painting, you could have a whole new Transformer from this same mould. Wouldn't that be neat? I'm broke and have no time though, so someone else is going to have to experiment with that sort of thing. I might add some wash to him though. The skull especially seems like a lot of that detail would just pop out a lot more if there was a bit of dark contrast wash in the recesses. Next we have these fan modes I came up with while messing about with Skullgrin just for this video. So brand new Transformations Bleeding Edge robot fiddling. I call this fan mode the Shrike Bat. Though it feels more like an insect now that I've had time to look at it properly, you know, like a mechanised, weird, stylised fly spaceship. Either way, it's quite clearly a recognisable flyer or spaceship. I especially like his little his little tail fin. Oh, did you get it? Did you get it? I said, do you get it, Keith? If you get it, Keith, why aren't you laughing?
Please stand by while technical maintenance occurs. Thank you for your patience.
The slight downside to this mode is that you have to bend the soft plastic of the sword handles just a little bit, and they soon bend back into place when you remove them. So you know it's not permanent. You'd have to worry about it. There's no need to bend anything you don't want to for the next fan mode I've made though. I say though a lot. I call this one the Hunter Killer because if I squint a bit and I put all my XP points into my imagination slot, then this one looks like a flying Hunter Killer from Terminator. If you took away the wings. A bit, I guess, maybe. Either way, it's clearly some form of flying, wingless gunship. Or a death barge. A death barge would be a great name for a local death metal band. Foreshadowing is an illogical literary device. This is another fan mode I think could be turned into a full alt mode or an original character with the addition of some custom made parts. I may already have been sketching some ideas for the different parts I would need to turn these into full proper alt modes, and even what they might look like as original characters. Well, that's for the future. We have what I call the Alien Obelisk. This one's a bit of a stretch, but also I think it kind of works really well. Look at him here with his little cult of weird creatures, and these other bots bowing down to him. Who knows what eldritch abominations he was erected to honour? Or does he mark the resting place where some unknowable horror sleeps, dreaming of the madness it will unleash when it wakes? The only limit is your own imagination, really. So here we go, as promised, these are the extra fan modes I came up with while editing this video. I'm not going to go into them in too much detail. I'll just give you the names and you can have a look at them. And then if you want, I can do a transformation instruction video later on. Let me know in the comments. First up, we've got this ugly little bugger, and I call this fella the Doom Dragon, because he kind of looks doomy and a bit like a dragon. This thing's called the Murder Mantis. Obvious reasons. This one's called Chicken Carnage. It's like a mech walker of some kind. I was watching a bit of old Mech Warrior, so that's where I got the idea for this one. This is one I particularly like. I call this one the Techno Crab. So I don't sit and think much about these names. They just sort of come to me as I'm fiddling with the thing and I get the final form. This next one's the Stalker Tank, and like with the Techno Crab, I've got these two little antenna bits. They're actually the little side back gun things from Legacy. It's either Legacy Tarn or Legacy Bludgeon, one of the two. This one's the Cyber Spider. The previous three were all variations on a theme in terms of the structure, but it makes it look completely different depending on how you put the extra bits and if you're using the any parts forming bits at all. Like with the Cyber Spider here, putting the skull round this way and then putting out the horns like this makes it look like the Chalissa ray of an actual spider. Well, I think so anyway. And then here we've got possibly my favourite of these new ones. Maybe he's pipping the Techno Crab just a bit, but one I call the Gargoyle. And it's kind of like a machine gargoyle, or it kind of reminds me of like a futuristic take on an old biplane or something like that. But yeah, I'm really vibing with this one. I quite like this one. So there you go. A quick look at Legacy Untidy Skullgrin. An imperfect representation of the original G1 toy, but with enough quirks and peculiarities to still make this a fun and engaging figure. At least for me anyway. And as promised, he has the bonus of being at least an... if I can count. I wonder if there's any other modes we can squeeze out of this bad lad. Hello, editing me here. Again, I found yet another damn alt mode for Skullgrin. I was so sick of him. I was so sick of this. This was only meant to be a quick video. Taken nearly a month now. I'm so tired. I just want him to leave me alone and stop haunting my damn dreams. Anyway, I call this one the Death Ray. It's called the Death Ray for obvious reasons, because it looks like a manta ray to me. I was going to call it Manta Force, but you know that's already a toy, isn't it? I was so tired. Yeah, so there's some parts forming going on here. I've got the knockoff SS86 Prime that comes with the Starscream bits, and the wings are on 5mm pegs, so I've used them. We've got the Legacy Tarn or Bludgeon little machine gun things, and then for his little antennary bits at the back, and then SS86 Gnor's Sharkticon, his tail club thing. And I think it looks pretty cool, if I do say so myself, which I do. Leave me alone, Skullgrin, I'm going to bed. Also, as of March 2026, when I'm making this video, Skullgrin's available pretty cheaply on most online retailers, so I might even get a few more to modify and customise while they're still available. And I also might have a go at drawing these fan modes as their own characters with unique robot modes too. What do you think? Hi. I was just in the process of uploading this damn video when I found another 3 fan modes for him. So here you go, hope you enjoy them, and I've got a feeling that there's going to be a few more hidden in there somewhere. Hang on a minute, you're not Skullgrin. I hope that was entertaining for you. I mean the whole video, not just the weird noise I made. Have you got an alt mode for Grinskull that I've not found yet? Let me know in the comments and provide me with those sweet, plump engagements. If you made it through to the end, leave a skull and or a grin below in the comments. I guess that's what people do these days, isn't it? If you like the art I made for the thumbnail, It's available as a free wallpaper along with some other Transformer fan art I've made, and you can get them when you sign up to my mailing list at the link in the description. Oh, it feels horrible saying this. Oh, I promise not to spam you. I thought it just might be neat to send interested folks a monthly roundup of Transformers stuff I've made. Oh, I don't like this at all. And if you want some physical versions of my fan art, then I've linked my store down below. I also have limited commission spots open at the moment, so if you'd like me to draw up your favourite Transformer or other character, or your original character, then have a look in the description. The details about how to contact me are there. And I can even draw things that aren't Transformers, like GoBots or Zoids. Now the gross stuff is out of the way, and as a reward for making it all the way through to the end of my Transformers visual brain fart, you get to hear the musical debut of Skullgrin and his new band, Death Barge. Over to you, lads.
Good evening, Hartley Brown. We are Death Barge from South Central Polynex. This first song is called Decepticons of Chaos. Count us in, Megatronus. Okay.
Hello? Hello? Guys? Guys, are you still there, guys? Come on, it's not funny. Let me down, please. I've been here for hours. Guys, I've got synchronized combiner class. Oh, come on, guys. I think someone's watching me, and I need a wee. Oh, Father's gonna be really vexed with me again.